The border.
The border.
The border.
First of all,
Oh boy.
I think elephant in the room here real quick because AI, once again, lied to us. Was
Lied.
absolutely inaccurate, hallucinated, whatever you want to call it. But I know we were all expecting to experience the Rafflesonaissance.
Brad Rafflesonaissance.
And
Brad,
now,
wasn't
guess
it Brad
what?
Brad Raffleson or
And
something?
we still
Bob Raffleson.
Well, we
Bob.
don't know. Who knows? And we'll never find out. And we still don't know because that was not the director.
It was not. Bob Raffleson did not direct The Border. It was actually Tony Richardson.
Yes.
It was a Richardson.
Yes. Yes. But you guys, like, icon. Like, he was the father of Natasha Richardson and Jolie Richardson, married to Vanessa Redgrave.
Oh.
He was bisexual. He was crazy Academy Award winning director. And
That's,
and he
that's
unfortunately passed away from AIDS in the early 90s.
Man,
Wow.
that's the most film history you've ever gotten on this show.
I know, right?
I mean, yeah,
it got scholastic in here.
quite surprised to see his name pop up and not the Rafflesonaissance.
Right.
Yeah.
I did catch a Raffleson in the credits though. So just saying,
It was the
it was like production designer.
the production designer was Toby Raffleson.
So it was a Toby Rafflesonaissance.
Oh, so that, well, okay.
It's still very
So
wrong.
maybe
Don't-
AI
the AI
pulled
is
that
still-
name.
Toby,
Very
like,
wrong.
that's similar.
Yeah,
kind of-
director, production designer.
Yeah, they all the same, right?
How many fedoras do we spot?
I noticed zero
I
fedoras.
noticed no fedora.
Quite frankly,
Single fedora. In fact, the hat of the moment was obviously a fucking cowboy hat because they were in El Paso, Texas.
Yeah.
They showed him shopping for one. Why
Yeah.
the fuck are we talking about fedoras?
No fedoras.
no fedoras.
Does AI not know what a hat looks like? Has it not actually looked into hats?
We asked, if I remember correctly, we asked AI if there were any little hats in this movie. So it was already wrong when it said
We
fedoras.
did ask about a little hat,
That's true,
which,
we'd
by
asked
the
about a
way,
hat.
is from the Jack Nicholson film The Last Detail.
Oh.
And on the VHS box cover, it's him like shirtless with a little like sailor hat on.
Okay.
So that is what I was thinking of.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, also, this movie AI said was 1981. It was 1982. And can I say,
We were just led astray.
Mm-hmm.
We were led down the garden path several times.
Jack Nicholson in 1982 was 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that makes sense. In The Shining, he would have been 43. That's just scary because I'm very close. I'm getting close to that age. And, it's never too late to go crazy and kill your family in an old mansion somewhere.
Everyone loves
Abandoned
a
hotel.
Cool. I
good
can't
old
wait to go on
family
vacation with
annihilator
you.
story. Everyone loves a good family annihilator. I thought that too, actually. I was like, oh my God, Harvey Keitel and Jack Nicholson are like my age in this movie. And that's the first time I think I've ever felt that way.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Right, because they're always just old guys.
Yeah.
First of all, Harvey Keitel, can I just say, I didn't even recognize
Did not
him.
recognize him right
yeah.
away.
Especially after last week watching Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, we had a
Which was
Harvey
only-
Keitel double feature.
Only
Right.
12 years later,
Oh my God.
Harvey Keitel had a rough 12 years, I think, because he was straight into his old man phase by the time Pulp Fiction hit.
That's true.
And he looked a lot.
Oh, he could get it in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. He was a whole
Yeah.
drink of water. I was
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
hello.
Harvey Keitel could probably
Harvey
still
Keitel
get
I
it,
mean, it's
but,
true. He's very
always get it,
charming.
Yeah.
He does. He has a way about him.
but it didn't look like a 12-year difference to me. But it's kind of like that. I mean, it's just how people looked in the early 80s versus the early 90s.
Yeah.
It's just
Man.
different.
Smoking and drinking is different.
that'll
the
do it
culture's
for you.
different, I guess. I
Yep.
don't know.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to AI Made Us Watch.
Oh.
Also,
forgot.
we have special guest James Yates with us today.
Yay.
Super excited for you to join us. As you can tell, James is a film buff, as well as a comedian and actor that we've known for a good portion
Good
of our
long
lives.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Since
20
Harvey
years.
Keitel was an old man.
Yeah, since way back then.
Way back in the day.
So if you missed last week's episode, go catch it with James played the game with us when we got assigned The Border. And now AI forced him to watch it too.
Yeah. And you were like, there's a very high probability that there's going to be some wrong shit about the description of this movie.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Who wants to try for the under 5-minute summary of The Border? Or should we popcorn it?
Oh my God.
I could try.
Give it a shot.
Go ahead.
Oh boy. Okay. I don't even know if I remember
Starting the timer.
names. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Jack Nicholson plays a border patrol agent officer who decides to relocate to El Paso.
Yeah.
They're living in California, he and his wife, but his wife wants more than the trailer they're living in. So she wants to go move to her friend's duplex in El Paso. So that's what they do. And he goes and he starts working with the border agents there. And they turn out to be a really corrupt bunch led by, coincidentally, his neighbor also, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Harvey Keitel.
That is true. That is a funny coincidence.
They moved right
She
in
moved
with
because
the...
she's like, my friend Savannah lives there and I want to go live with her, right? Like,
And then it turns out, and her husband is Border
is also,
Patrol.
I guess everyone
Probably.
lives there is Border Patrol. But anyway, they're corrupt as fuck and they're doing a human trafficking ring. They steal a baby from a immigrant woman.
Yeah.
And Harvey Keitel, Jack Nicholson has to sort of decide, does he want to be a part of this or does he want to, take action against these corrupt cops?
Yeah. That's pretty
That was
much
even
the
less
setup.
than 5 minutes. That was good.
Yeah, we got it in. That was, I think, less than a minute and a half. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Not that much to say about the border, I guess. I will say, to me, this movie was the story of a woman named Marcy. Who could just never have it all. Played by Valerie Perrine.
Oh my God, Marcy!
God.
I wanted to shake her so many times.
Every
Some of
time
the
we see
worst
Marcy.
female characters ever committed to
both
film.
Savannah and
The
her. I
two
was like,
women. Okay, well, there's three because we have, was it Maria?
Maria.
Yes.
Maria.
Of course, because
she's pretty awesome, but oh boy, the two white women in this movie are...
Marcy, every time we see Marcy, as you said, Marcy gets Jack Nicholson to move to El Paso because she wants to live in this duplex. She's just, a better life for us, because they're living in like a single wide trailer in California. And she wants a better life, goes to this duplex. And then every time we see her, she has ordered something else.
Yeah.
A waterbed, a TV, all this furniture.
A
swimming pool at one point. She says, we don't have to worry about paying for it.
The credit
I
cards.
opened a charge account at the Galleria. And I was like, this is why we ended up in a credit crisis in the 90s.
And it came hard on the heels of him
80s.
in getting tailoring with Harvey Keitel. And Harvey Keitel being like, oh, you don't have to pay for it right now. 30 days, free, and then he can bill you and stuff. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, everyone around him is just like...
Oh,
the little devil on your shoulder.
Put it on credit.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Charge it to the
That
game.
was so crazy and made me think immediately how interesting that, you guys talked about like with Cutter's
Cutter's Way.
Cutter's Way and like these movie. We were expecting this 1981 filmed movie to feel very 70s, but it was more like Here Come the 80s.
Yeah.
She just was so consumerist and just couldn't have enough and just because personally I would rather be in a double wide in California than
in LA
house in El Paso.
A duplex. A duplex in El
As
Paso.
soon as they relocated, she makes him move to a duplex in El Paso and then says, you know what, I want to be on TV.
I know,
like,
right?
Bitch, that's what LA is for.
Oh God, yeah, she was
Marcy.
something else. Marcy.
Ooh. I kind of
Marcy
felt
and
sorry
Savannah.
for both of them and their wives because they were such terrible characters. Because Savannah was just an alcoholic, and he was always like, "Honey, why don't you calm down?" And she'd be like, "Stop jerking on my reins." Or
Yeah,
whatever.
she was at least. I mean, yeah,
Savannah was kind of...
She was a
Savannah
wild
was
card.
brat. Savannah was
Savannah
brat.
was my hero in
She
this
was
movie.
bad.
Savannah was kind of great. She wasn't taking no shit from anybody.
Fair enough. Fair
She
enough.
played her own game.
She
looked
did.
into the I did a deep dive into the 2 or 3 women that were in this film 'cause I'm a faggot, so that's what we do. I looked all up about the actresses.
I don't know if we have to bleep that on YouTube.
Oh, do you? I know I listen to podcasts that say faggots.
No, I listen to podcasts.
But anyway,
I'm happy to say
the actress that plays Savannah, is the mother of this actress named Kelly Williams, who was on the show The Practice in the 90s.
Wow.
David E. Kelly did this like lawyer show.
Okay.
And some other shows since then, but that's what I knew her from. So yeah, she's part of a little acting dynasty herself.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
But I have to, while we're in the realm of the actresses in this movie, before we move on, I do have to tell you guys a Valerie Perrine story that blew my mind.
Oh, please.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, she's very familiar looking. Yes. And she apparently she won an Oscar in the 70s for the movie Lenny. I think she plays Lenny Bruce's wife or something, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But she's an Academy Award winner. And interestingly, in like 1968, she was in LA, and her friend, hairdresser Jay Sebring, invited her to a party that he and a bunch of people were going to at Roman Polanski's house. And she was all excited to go, and she got her shift covered at work at the restaurant she worked at so she could go. And then at the last minute, the person that was covering her shift backed out, and she was forced to work her shift, and she couldn't go to this dinner party with Sharon Tate and Jay Sebring and the Folger heiress or whatever. And it was the night that wound up being the Manson murders.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So yeah, she like just by luck of a call out of a shift of someone that was going to cover your shift, she also would have been murdered by the Manson family.
So next time someone says they're going to cover your shift and then backs out at the last minute, they might have saved your life.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
Nuts.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Wild.
Crazy enough just to be invited to that party.
I
mean, your life is already topsy-turvy if you're in that situation.
Roman and Sharon.
But yeah, the women in this movie were absolutely insanely drawn, terrible characters that were like awful.
Oh my God.
That was even Maria, who, okay, so Jack Nicholson had the hardest part for him. I mean, I think he's supposed to be genuinely a better person than the rest of these people. Weird to me also that this is the movie where Jack Nicholson is the sane person around a bunch of crazies. You don't usually see that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, no.
And one of the characters is even like, I look in that guy's face and he looks crazier than a shithouse rat. And I was like, that's true though. Like,
he did start to like an hour in, start to sort of get angry. You know, he throws the grill into the pool and stuff. He starts to have these moments of an explosion. You're thinking like, oh boy, here comes crazy Jack Nicholson. But it doesn't really. No, he's really the he's just center of gravity.
Trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
Everything's crazy around him. But he also, like, of course, his real change of heart or his real impulse to be the worst person is that he finds a pretty girl. And she's so pretty
girl.
He's got to help her.
Out of all those, just hundreds and hundreds of immigrants he sees every day.
It's the pretty lady.
If someone had stolen a less attractive woman's baby, would he have done a damn thing about it?
Great question.
Maybe.
Character-wise, maybe. Casting-wise, would never happen.
Well, obviously not. They couldn't.
Because he is still attracted to Marcy physically, I feel like. I mean, he's like very frustrated by her as a person, but I don't know.
She's got him wrapped all the way up, though.
Yeah.
But I was frustrated with him because I was like, you never tell her anything. And I was mad at her because she would be like, I'm trying to make you happy. And I'm like, you don't even know him. Like, why do you think that a living room set would make him happy?
Right.
He clearly hates the fucking waterbed. Like, I don't think.
Who can blame him?
The waterbed.
It was just like he seemed so out of place in his own life. And I was like, he just is uncomfortable every day. And I was like, I feel sorry for Jack Nicholson and that he just cannot catch a break.
No, yeah.
I had a waterbed in middle school. It was like a hand-me-down waterbed.
Oh, I would have been so jealous.
Oh, yeah. It was, right? I mean, I loved it. I will say, that thing, a waterbed, when you fill a waterbed, because you usually got to use like a hose It's cold. It's super cold, and it takes like 24 hours for the heaters to warm it up. So you don't get right in a waterbed when it finishes filling.
Oh.
I don't care
Although
how
it
hot
is summer in El Paso. I don't know if he's
cold.
like sweaty. He's like, listen, I'm getting in that waterbed right now. He was sweating. I mean, they really called attention to the
imagined,
sweat.
I was just like, oh, it's El Paso. It's hot in there. You know, they probably don't have like central AC. It's 1981. Like, they're really sticking to that waterbed.
Oh, right.
Like,
that vinyl
hurt when they get off of it.
Totally. Hate it.
Hard pass in the waterbed.
And then they like pan slowly up to the $1,589 price tag.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Which, girl,
I don't
you're
have
not
to
gonna
pay
tell
for
the price
it.
tag, but you don't even take it off. But he did actually kind of look later. There's a shot of him getting out of the bed, and it looks like it's miserable to be in.
Yeah, he looks like he's really frustrated with it. I was like, man, he hates all this shit. He's like, I don't care about this pool. I don't give a fuck about this house.
Oh, she doesn't have to pay for it. She opened a charge account.
She's got that charge account.
That's like free stuff.
All that stuff.
Basically free.
That's for future Marcy to worry about.
On. Just leave
Poor
the
future
leave the plastic
actually, we should
on.
turn the plastic into something that'll make it
permanent covers. Yeah.
And that's also like nouveau riche, you know, poor people wanting to be, you know, you get that stuff, and then you're like, okay, if I put this on it, then it'll last. Like,
yeah. But I'm like, why have it?
Right.
Why not just buy a plastic couch?
I know, right? Because as you say, to your point, you're going to be sweaty trying to sit up on your own couch in shorts.
Sticking
to
being
like,
El Paso. Oh,
no, absolutely
no, ma'am.
We stopped into El Paso on our road trip out to LA and went to Lucy's Diner. And it was the single best goddamn breakfast
It was like
ever eaten.
a side of the road trailer. It had 8 seats at a bar, and that's it.
Oh, cute.
And it like the coffee was like nothing.
It was the worst
but the
coffee I've ever had.
Food was amazing.
Huevos rancheros, chilaquiles.
The lady didn't have to speak a word of English.
You're speaking
it was
my
one
language.
woman.
But they're like,
Lucy's
here.
They were like,
oh,
Lucy's here.
Be Lucy.
Lucy's here.
Oh, and they were like, she cooks the food, and we don't know what'll happen when she goes because she's the only one who knows how to make this.
She won't tell us.
She won't tell anybody.
Damn, that's like.
And I guess if Lucy don't come to work, they don't open.
Was it Granny Ann's or Auntie Ann's or whatever on Memorial?
It was
the
Ghetto Burger. Yeah.
Ghetto Burger. Yeah.
When she
what
passed,
was that called?
it was
Now
over.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I think it was Ann's.
Ann's Snack Shack or something like that.
That's right.
Snack Shack. Yeah. That's
when she finally passed away, that was it. Rest in peace. But yeah. Wait, so this diner in El Paso, was it outdoors? Like you were?
No, it was just a
tiny little building.
Yeah, it was just tiny little building.
I'm just so concerned about the heat.
And it is.
You know what though is crazy? When we were in El Paso, we stayed in Airbnb. We were only there one night. We woke up in the morning and it had snowed.
Yeah.
There was like an inch of fucking snow on the ground. And it was what, October?
I think
like early October?
It was crazy. I was like, I thought I was in Texas.
Like, what am I doing? I haven't seen snow in years in Atlanta. And we're literally on the border of Mexico. And it's snowing.
And we're like throwing snowballs.
Climate change.
You know.
Can I say I do love old school ricochet bullet sound effects?
Oh yeah.
every guy was like, pew, 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 pew. I was like, fun. Now it's just like, brrr, it's no fun.
Yeah.
The sound effects of guns these days. I just want to throw that out there.
That's a good one.
Damn bump stocks.
Nostalgic sounding bullet sounds.
I wrote down my favorite quote. I think you wrote it down too. I saw you writing at the same time.
Probably.
Everyone here's too dumb to roll rocks down a steep hill.
I did write that down.
That's great.
Yeah.
Harvey Keitel said it.
Harvey Keitel said it.
Yeah, that's right. He said it. So I was like, that's pretty fucking funny.
I got a question for you.
What?
You ever throw dirt clods as a kid?
Oh my God. What was that all about?
What does that mean?
I have.
I never threw a dirt clod in my life.
What is a dirt clod? And why is there none here? Like
hard chunks of dirt.
Right?
I guess so.
They're almost like a rock, but not. So they kind of just explode onto your car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess I just never threw them as a kid.
No. Well, no.
I mean, I grew up in a rural area.
We were too busy either playing Sonic the Hedgehog or or like,
an excellent point.
Playing outside. I played outside.
I
didn't
outside.
do like vandalism stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Same.
I didn't try to mess up anybody's car or anything.
It never appealed to me. I didn't really understand the point of any of that, I guess. It didn't seem like
the point was to be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I was being really cool hanging out with my Barbies. So suck on that. I was liking kind of this peek into, I don't know, how fucked up it is to work on the border because even, so many of the agents even said, they were like, I mean, rich people are paying to bring them in and then we chauffeur them back home. And what is the point of all this? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
Just let them work. I don't want to pull the onions and stuff. And I was like, it's so interesting to like hear them say it when they're the ones that will go chasing through the mountains. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it was a really interesting look. I think you're right. I think you have to focus on the movie as looking at that side of it because at times I felt like it was trying to humanize all the people trying to cross the border, and it wasn't. Like, it was actually kind of a dehumanizing movie. Like, they had no character.
No,
like, there was pretty much nothing. We got no story from a single person except Maria, who was basically like, I'm pretty and they stole my baby.
Right.
And even that was just an example of how bad the criminals are in this scenario. So there wasn't like a good representation of regular ass people trying to find a better life for themselves or why any of them are trying to cross the border.
The only thing that I will give it they were not well drawn characters either, but like the only thing I'll give it credit for was I thought it was pretty cool that there weren't subtitles with all of the Spanish that was spoken.
I did like that.
I thought that was really interesting for that time too. I was like, and I didn't know if that's how it was presented when it came out, or if it was just like, when they uploaded onto Amazon or whatever. If they, but I'd like to think that maybe that was a creative choice, and you were just sort of supposed to, cool, if you speak Spanish and you know what they're saying, like, good for you. But if not, you're just kind of part of this world.
I think it was a choice because we had the captions on. And,
I did too.
And it was
still in Spanish.
It was in Spanish, so it didn't translate it into English there. So I feel like it was a choice to be like, you're not supposed to know what they're saying.
And honestly, I'll give this movie, like, it made some weird choices. I don't know if you saw any of this or looked into it at all, but it felt very low budget, especially for an 80s Jack Nicholson movie in a lot of ways. Like the earthquake sequence at the beginning where this church was so weird, and it looked like a student film in terms of how they did like camera tricks to make it look like stuff was falling over.
I know, it's like he's basically just moving the camera around like this.
And I didn't know if I was like, was that an earthquake or did a bomb happen?
Like, I know, I was like, is an alien abducting the church? I mean, anything could be. It was very strange.
I'm not fully sure what it was setting up in terms of the context of the movie, and to be the opening scene, it didn't really like, oh, now I see. There was no point where I was like, oh, the earthquake really explains.
I almost wondered if because unlike now where we just assume, or don't even need to assume, like maybe it was to give context to why people were fleeing from.
That's what I was about to say.
Or trying to come seek asylum in the U.S. or why they were like.
Right.
Their home a horrible earthquake had happened.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had nowhere to live. Maybe. It was like a rubble. Maybe. I was thinking at the very least it explains Maria because she was getting the baby baptized.
Oh, that was her at the church?
I believe that was her in the beginning.
I did not know that either.
I mean, I don't want to be racist and just be like, I think
you're probably right. No, that
would make
a lot of sense.
But I think because it was like she was with the girl was with her family, the baby's getting baptized, and then the horrible earthquake happens, and then she runs over to someone and he's dead, like he's been crushed.
Maybe baby daddy.
Yeah, I think it was her husband or the baby daddy or something. And then so she's with her brother. That was the other thing. Was like, this is a tragic character. She lost everybody.
Oh my god.
Like, oh my god. I was Jesus Christ. Yeah. So anyway, I was like, I think that was the point of the earthquake, but it was still just so weirdly. That was
done.
It was not a graceful beginning.
Let's call it that. Yeah. The Tony Richardson. Yes, yeah. Tony Richardson was known for being a part of the British New Wave, which was like super realism, like very slice of life, like kitchen sink realism.
Yeah.
And so that was, I think, what probably was one of the stronger parts of the movie was like not the earthquake, which was, I wonder if that was like a studio thing or a reshoot or something.
Right.
But the just sort of like slice of life look at border town life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just
without too much judgment, really.
Yeah.
I thought I did think that Juan was done pretty well. In terms of like seeing him, the brother character, he was much younger. It seemed like he was maybe 10 or 11 years old or something. But anyway, he starts to have a nice watch and he starts to have nice clothes and he starts to, so you're like, like he's definitely getting into some big shit. That's not going to turn out well for him. But they don't like really show him, it's not really heavy handed. It was just very subtle until, he gets shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, the movie is not. Yes, it's like so woefully not a great representation of its seemingly primary characters. Like it's just not. I mean, it would never be made like this today. It's like it's funny you were mentioning because I was thinking about what a white savior movie it is, even down to it's funny you said how it opened with her baptizing her baby and it's like religious. Iconography because the very final shot is this like pastoral looking like almost painting like freeze frame of literally like Jack Nicholson like as a white savior like giving her baby back like in a river
like,
it was very I mean it was it's so white savior
true
just very problematic
and perfect white savior in a way because he was doing it to make himself feel better and not really because he was wanted to help her.
Literally,
he was literally like, I just want to feel good about something. So I picked you as my little project.
Which I do kind of like that. I mean, that's honest.
Yeah, it is. And I get it. I was like, fair enough, whatever. And she was probably like, thank God I spit on this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I spit on the right one.
She could have spit on anybody. If she spit on Harvey Keitel,
what would happen? She never would have got her baby back.
Yeah.
How about Harvey Keitel goes out and finds, like, they basically go to central casting. They're like, give me your sleaziest man on the inside.
Oh my God.
In the greasiest suit.
Manuel.
His guy on the other side was just like, you look at this guy and you're like, well, that's a villain.
I mean, 100%.
This is like a Bond villain.
He looked like
almost.
Waluigi.
Oh no. Yeah, definitely a villain. Oh yeah.
Hated Manuel. I really want him to get shot up. He did
hated Manuel and hated JJ.
JJ was horrible.
The terrible white people. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. When he first meets Jack Nicholson and he tells a story. Oh man, what was it?
Oh, he's like,
oh my God, he says something that basically ends with like, I fucked your mom.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate San Francisco. I hate the West Coast.
He hates California.
I hate California.
I used to put a double condom on my dick and go down and fuck all the dockside whores. So, Sonny, I probably knew your mother.
Yes.
And I was like, damn,
well, what?
Why would you greet a motherfucker like that?
Mind blown.
That was literally his hello.
I'm
how he said
obsessed
hi.
with like housewives and Bravo culture and everything. That was the craziest read I have ever fucking heard. Drag Race, Housewives, that shit. I double wrapped my dick up and fucked all the whores in this city. So Sonny, I probably knew your mama. Like I could be your dad.
I could be your dad.
It was fucking crazy. I loved it. And then he got his head blown off in one of the craziest shots in the whole movie.
That was insane.
This movie's death scenes were...
He blew his own head off.
He's holding a shotgun. Yes. He stumbles, stands up, runs, immediately hits the wire fence, falls back down, and blows his own
face off.
You don't usually see that in 1980.
No,
but you're right. The death scenes were
crazy.
That's why I was talking about that truck crash, because whenever they're going after the furniture truck, that Jack Nicholson has carefully and placed this woman with her baby, this woman without her baby, I guess. This is the part where she doesn't have the baby anymore. But he's got the lady anyway, and he's like, okay, you're in the truck, you're going to America, and then we'll find your baby. I'm not a bad guy, I'm a good guy. This is going great, or whatever. And then, of course, they immediately get chased by some honest people in the Border Patrol, and they're going on this very high-speed chase in this big-ass furniture truck, and I was just like, holy shit, if you were in the back of that truck. What a horrifying... And they showed you pretty well how fucked up it would be to be right there.
Yeah. Oh, if I may, when they get in the truck, the guy says, "Here's your shit bucket, and here's your newspapers."
Right.
I said the same thing.
As soon as that car chase started, I was like, "That shit bucket definitely tipped over."
I know. I was like, I hope no one's used the shit bucket yet.
It hadn't been that long.
Started.
Yeah,
it
they
just
started.
Somebody got in that. Somebody was like,
freaked.
"Can we shut the door, please? I gotta use the shit bucket."
They're like, God damn it.
5 minutes into this ride. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to go ahead and be the first one to use the shit bucket.
I went to Lucy's. I had the chilaquiles and a lot of that coffee.
They were delicious, but listen, you know how it moves through you.
Oh my God. That's so... But see, the stuff like that, like the car chases and all the crazies, like I actually think I didn't look at what the budget was, but I think it wasn't cheap. And I think that's what and it actually was a pretty big disappointment at the box office. It didn't do very well, and I think it was kind of considered one of Jack Nicholson's big like bombs or flops.
Yeah, I've certainly never heard of it.
Yeah, I never heard of it. It just disappeared from reality.
As I think I was thinking that as the movie went on, it felt like more and more money was being spent on it. But there was something in the first act or something where I was like, it just feels so like a lot of tricks are being used to accomplish whatever they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like, oh, we've got all the money to set up the lighting and the cameras however we want, but we've got to kind of tweak it to sort of get these shots. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
But there was actually a totally different ending.
Really?
And they had to do reshoots and like kind of retool the ending because it was too cynical and too dark and too bleak.
Oh.
Damn, I wish I'd seen that one then.
I know. And so I wonder if... Actually, I do wonder if even that crazy opening shot was like a reshoot or a new thing, because I'm wondering if what we're feeling from the first like 2/3 or so of the movie is the more naturalistic sort of indie quality stylings of Tony Richardson.
Yeah.
And then they made them do reshoots and stuff. But originally, the movie, you guys spoil the movies, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Yeah. What am I talking about?
Yeah. If y'all haven't seen The Border yet, it's your
Sorry,
loss.
Guys.
But
you've had 33 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
43. Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
You've had 43 years to watch The Border, so no spoilers.
God, Jack Nicholson is like 80, like Joe Biden.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Anyway, and you don't hear from Jack Nicholson these days.
Oh, no, he barely makes an appearance.
Yeah, he's chilling.
No.
But it ended originally with Jack Nicholson bombing the border agent department and like killing all of the border agents he worked with, all the corrupt dudes.
Wow.
So, and they... it was too dark, and they reshot.
That's awesome.
Redid the ending, and instead he just kills the
What an
the
incredible
baby. I know, right? Isn't that
ending.
crazy? And you can see it going there almost in a like falling down kind of way or something, like, or not falling down, but in a like I can't take this anymore. Like it would have built to that well. That would have worked, I think, as an ending.
I agree because he had that huge. The one time that he got super emotional was when he was like, "That's one line that I'm not going to cross. I'm not having nothing to do with murder." And then like everyone that died kind of died by accident, so it was like he didn't really kill anyone.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Oh,
because a lot of them,
the guy shot himself, and then the awesome other death, Harvey Keitel's death, where he like shoots a tire on shoots something on a machine, and then the machine lowers, and all of its tonnage crushes Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
Horrifying death.
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't actually.
I don't think he ever actually kills anyone. It's all by accident.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that's such a funny. Like, I was like, I guess they were just like, he's never going to murder anyone. He's a good guy. So he's like Batman, and he doesn't ever kill anyone.
Jack Nicholson finally gets to be Batman.
He gets to be Batman.
Finally. Oh.
I know that's what
That's the
thinking.
multiverse I want to see.
Yes. And that was the other thing too. I saw that this movie was for Jack Nicholson. He wanted it to kind of be he wanted to play the total opposite that he had done in The Shining. Instead of being a guy who like loses his mind, or someone that like is just unhinged and loses their mind and gives this wacky performance, he wanted to do the opposite and do a more understated good guy role.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy to think about now, but The Shining was a huge flop, and I think he was even nominated for like a Razzie Award for worst actor for that. I know Shelley Duvall was nominated for Worst Actress for The Shining.
Wow.
And people, it was like kind of a joke of like how over the top the here's Johnny and like how just crazy overacting he was doing, how campy it was at the time. So he was trying to pull back and do something a little different. I mean, he's still crazy as fuck though. So you can't not be.
I mean, he just looks crazy.
He's still throwing that,
in those eyebrows.
That grill into the pool.
But like, he sure did.
But he slaps her. He hits her.
Oh,
he like knocked her against the wall. Like that was real fucked up.
That was really fucked up.
I was like, oh man.
He said sorry real fast. 1982. Like I know this is not supposed. I know it's 1982, so this is
not supposed to be a like unforgivable aspect of this person's character.
Right.
This is supposed to be like, look how volatile he is. Like. He's still redeemable, but yeah, he totally slapped her.
Yes. Did we all want to slap Marcy
a
little bit, though?
Absolutely. That doesn't mean you can lay your hands upon someone.
Of course not.
I've wanted to slap many a person in my day.
Savannah, come over here.
Savannah, get over here and slap the shit out of Marcy, please.
She's being crazy.
Can you please use the back of your hand and wear a ring? Don't take your rings off.
I wonder what happened to Savannah.
Okay, this is
Marcy.
okay.
I know, right?
I felt sorry for Marcy, though, at the end, because he's, like, refusing to talk to her about, he's just got this random
He keeps being
lady.
like, I'll be right back. And she is like, you're not coming back. I just know it. Like,
right.
Do you think he went back?
What other, I was going to add, do you think, because what other, indication has he given her that he would not come back, that he was like, I've got to take this girl now back home to Mexico, I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In their normal day-to-day life, why would she not believe that? Like, was there something about that moment and that woman that she was like,
well, that's what I think. It was just that he was leaving with a woman, so she was like, oh, you're leaving with another woman.
Okay.
That's a big leap,
and you wouldn't even tell me.
Wouldn't you think?
I think that leap is insane.
But I guess she's insane.
She is crazy. But I wonder, there another...
the amount of time... Okay. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I was just like, the amount of time that she was begging you to explain yourself and you were walking slowly around your fucking car. You probably could have been like, listen, she's in trouble. I'm trying to help her get her baby back. I'll be back for dinner. Love you so much, babe. See you later. Thanks for taking care of her. You could have said some other words than just like fucking wood face be like, I'll be right back, like you're fucking Terminator. I'm like, no, bitch, talk to me. I'm a person.
I'm on Jack's side on this one because I think that there's just so much to explain, and Marcy is just like, what are you doing? Where are you going? What's happening? Why are you taking this? Why are you never coming back? Why are you leaving me and never coming back? And you're just like, I can't. I don't know how to articulate the entire amount of shit that I'm dealing with right now. Mm-hmm. Like I'm fighting back against this entire corrupt agency of which I may be the only person who can help this woman out. And that's just a lot to and if you'll just let me go run an errand real quick, I will come back and I will explain it to you in the best way that I think maybe Marcy can handle it, which might be slow and simple words.
But honestly, I feel like he might have even in that moment been like, but now that you mention it,
I might not come back.
Actually, you know what? I was gonna come back, but this stunt out here in the driveway, like, no ma'am.
Oh man, Marcy bought the whole Sears catalog.
Marcy.
She bought expensive stuff too, like
I know,
a
right?
Swimming pool. To fall into your swimming pool
because
you don't know it exists.
Oh my God,
that's crazy.
Mm-mm.
And then she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, why are you asking him what he's doing? You're the one that surprised him with a pool.
Who's ever been surprised by a pool before? You guys, have you ever heard of such a thing?
They take a couple days.
A minute to install.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be an indication of how little he pays attention around the house? Like he is not really there.
There's been a backhoe back here for
gone
3
for
days.
a while. Yeah, I don't know.
She's
That's
like, babe,
crazy.
you didn't see the fucking backhoe.
Boy, their communications
it's
way
really
off.
bad. It is bad.
Here was a crazy part, I thought too, and I assume this was intentionally bullshit, but Harvey Keitel, I think it was Harvey Keitel, one of the other agents, when they're first arresting a couple of guys, and he rips his shirt open, and he's got all the cocaine taped to his belly, and and Jack Nicholson's like, this is taking him by surprise, and the guy says they sell this stuff in grade schools. you got 10-year-olds hooked on this shit. And I was just thinking of the 10-year-olds on cocaine.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
I guess it was the 80s. Is that what was going on?
Is that what's going on in the 80s?
They've been scaring us with that shit ever since then.
I know, right?
They still say they're bringing fentanyl over, and it winds up in kids' lunchboxes. They're not sending their best.
They're not sending their best. I'm like, but do kids have money? Because that's what drug dealers want, is money normally. So I'm like, what? They're like, give me your lunch money, and I'll give you a fucking dime bag, like, or some heroin. I don't know.
There is that aspect of it, though. There is something that was so, for lack of a better word, like quaint about this era of the border crisis that this movie is talking about. Like, even now in the beginning when I think it's in the beginning when he's still in California, when Jack Nicholson's still in California, you know, just doing his job, he just blatantly sort of, they're like, go into a big factory farm and being like, take these two as our sort of like offering of like, oh, I caught a couple of undocumented immigrants or whatever. Just here you go, take these two. Yeah, you guys can come right back and I'll pay you more. Right. Or whatever. Like, it's all just a bullshit smoke and mirrors game, and just like no one and all of that. Like, it was so interesting, but also now I was like, I mean, just sort of what it's turned into and the like way it's grown, and it's just, I mean, yeah, it was kind of insane to think that like all of the El Paso border stuff was handled by this little like group of,
I know, right?
You know, this little like sheriff's department looking thing. I guess.
Well, sometimes he was by himself, and I was like, he's just alone. Like, what if there's 6 of them or something? You're supposed to go run in 6 different directions. Like, what do you?
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess like, they don't really care that much. I mean, they're not trying that hard.
They were pretty well-rounded as characters too in a lot of ways, as they weren't just like evil villains either. The border agent, like the one guy, you hear him say about them not wanting them to cross when the water is high or whatever.
They'll get pneumonia.
Yeah. We don't want them to get
if we scare them while they're in the river, they'll just hunker down in the river and get pneumonia. And he says their life's bad enough as it is. I hate to make it worse. Yeah. And then slam cut to the prison where they're taking them to, and I was like, man, that says a lot right there. Just that cut.
Yeah.
But so it was just kind of a weird thing to be like, yes, this is 43 years ago, and it was like Border Crisis Origins or something, like
origin story.
I mean, like how many?
But it kind of,
How many Harvey Keitels are there now?
Right,
you know, working in that system.
Exactly. Just chills.
Well, and how different the system that they're working is, because it's very much more formalized, and it's a lot more difficult, and I imagine. Well,
if you look at like what Harvey Keitel and what was his guy's name? Manuel. Like the sort of industry that they had going, if that is the mom and pop shop, that 43 years later is like a corporation. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm speculating. I don't know what it's like at the border, but you have to imagine that there's probably some pretty big organized crime happening.
Oh, man.
He is saving the baby at the end. Laundry basket, side of floor of the car.
Right.
Not a regulation car seat.
No, but I feel that's very Southern coded. Like,
and
especially
80s.
In the 80s. Oh my God. I was probably carted around in a laundry basket in a passenger seat a few times.
I don't think there was a single seatbelt in this film.
no seatbelts down there.
There was not one seatbelt. Like no one had one. The end was very abrupt. And now that you explain that about the ending, it explains a lot. But I think that made me dislike the whole movie, because it was just sort of like, well, that's it? That's all? Like, what? But
there's a lot of unanswered questions.
I killed your friend's husband. Like, what about your boss? I don't know.
Yeah, there was so much that and in this day and age of a movie like this would have been, like, if this was just like an Apple Plus like original that came out in 2024, it'd be like 2 hours and 18 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know, so on the one hand, I'm like, oh, thank God it was only like 148. But this could have had a little more, and I would have been down for a little more.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
I mean, you know, if you, all respect to the British New Wave cinema, had tightened up this slice of life, and maybe not spent so much time in the quiet. Yeah, we talk a lot about pacing in old movies and how our 2024 brains don't process it the same way. But if maybe if it clipped a little a little bit more. We could have had maybe some characters drawn of some of the Mexicans, or some resolution after. He takes all these insane actions that I'm like, that's my main thing. Is after the fact, there's like you said, what happens with the rest of the border agency if you didn't blow them up, or even if you had, what then? Do you have to go live in Mexico now?
Well, that's what I was
what about
to say.
Your wife?
Maybe you're right, and he never intended to go back to Marcy because he's like, listen, a bunch of folks just got killed because of me. I'm about to
dip
into Mexico.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe that's.
I kind of like that
happened.
ambiguity.
He's out there now. He's, what were they doing in that little village? We never got their characters, so I don't know. He's just
idea.
There was
just
a bunch of prostitutes there. I know that because they kept talking about it.
He's back there just like pumping water into a jug. He's got his shirt tied around his head or something.
They see him in the river sometimes.
Yeah.
Stealing hubcaps.
Yeah. Chasing some sheep with a stick.
Jack Nicholson happily stealing hubcaps.
Happily.
He's like, I'm so much happier here than I was in that damn fucking living room that Marcy was putting together.
I know. I mean, maybe it's the earthquake. I feel like that asks us to fill in a lot of gaps. But I am like, again, watching them, the torture they're going through to get here, the number of times they get arrested and sent back and try again and sent back, and the truck flipping over and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is so bad that this is better?
Right.
And I would love to have a movie, fill that in.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's answers there, but.
And you're right, though. The movie kind of wants to have it both ways because, again, it wants it to be like this, look, this beautiful, like, and they make it to Mexico in the end. I guess it's supposed to be like a good thing. But, but yeah, isn't that where they were trying to
they were trying to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you got your baby back.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't really my goal. That wasn't
now I'm here with this old white guy.
Baby.
Like, now this old white man's around, too.
Right?
I mean...
Feed him, too?
I got no baby daddy. I got no brother now. I just got a baby.
And Jack Nicholson.
I don't know. Maybe a white guy would be useful, but it did sound like it. They were like, gringo. I know. Like laughing at him.
I
know he goes to that bar, gets his head kicked in,
random.
And then he steps outside, and all the prostitutes outside are like, "Hey, buddy, hey, come take me home." And he's like bleeding from the skull. And I'm like, y'all need to.
Crazy.
I get that maybe not a lot of clients come through here, but maybe pick them a little better.
When you said he went to the bar, I thought you were talking about the time when he drank the beer and that random woman came up to him and just had that very random scene that meant nothing.
You look like my husband or something. She's
like, she's like, you look like my husband.
My piece of shit husband or something.
Piece of shit. And she's like, drunk. She's like, well, I guess it doesn't really matter.
The same scene? No, that was totally different.
It was a different scene.
That was in the U.S.
She's like, it doesn't really matter. I heard a poet say that everything's just a dream. And he's like, whose dream is it? She's like, I don't know who's dreaming. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter then. And then he leaves, and she's like, motherfucker. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that could have been
what is this scene?
There's some British New Wave.
I was going to say, that sounds like
all right. That's what I'm doing. Chicky.
And
we could have had some Mexican, some actual Mexican character development.
Yeah.
Yes, Maria could have had those lines.
Okay.
Right.
We did not need to hear from this drunk lady at the bar.
But yeah, this was, for Jack Nicholson movies, it was a down slope for him that had been happening kind of for a while with Shining and this. And it took him a little bit to come back up.
It's crazy to me. You talk about like Jack Nicholson being up for a Razzie for The Shining, like people mocking that movie back in the day. And I'm just like, so in 40 years, will we be talking about Morbius as one of the great pieces of cinema of its day?
I'll ask you right now. Tell me about the Phantom Menace.
I'd rather not.
I'm just saying, though. Yeah,
we try not to be controversial on this show.
Well, there's an example for you. Like,
but
we were
least
all old enough
Phantom
to
Menace...
be like, that was garbage.
Yes.
And now, 25 years later, there's a whole bunch of people that are like, that movie is fantastic.
At least Phantom Menace, those people were 8 to 10 years old when they saw it, by and large. Whereas, like, they weren't 8 and 10 years old watching The Shining, and then they grew up to love it later.
True. Yeah.
That was there was some sort of cultural shift that happened there.
Yeah.
It is funny to hear people say that Phantom Menace is good, though, because it's like, what?
Well, I mean,
Well, which
compared
is a really
to Attack
bad
of
one
the
was
Clones.
the third one.
No, the
Oh,
second
is it
one
the
is
second one?
is the painful one.
Oh, is that the sand one?
That's sand.
I hate sand.
Of course, it's green. Gets everywhere.
Gets everywhere.
But no, I guess that's uh-oh. But I wonder if The Shining's reputation grew because of like with people that were younger too, in a way, because I just remember being super little and my parents saying like, "Oh yeah, this movie with Jack Nicholson. Oh, he was in this movie called The Shining. It was so horrible, so scary." And like, I don't know, like,
yeah.
And then, you know, when we were young, you would always see like the images of like the twins or the like blood elevator or like
right.
things from it that you sort of, by the time I actually sat down and watched The Shining, I was like, oh, that's that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's that movie. It's like,
so
I don't know.
Might have also been a nostalgia element to it or something that people grew up to enjoy.
And then Kubrick too, and people appreciating him more probably as time went on and more of his filmography came out and everything, and being like,
yeah, maybe going back and appreciating.
Maybe
what
he was doing
do.
something there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe.
Well, maybe the director of Morbius one day will look at his filmography.
Maybe.
Someone 8 to 10 years old is like, Morbius is
her.
the greatest movie.
Someone's saying
ever
it's
made.
Morbin time.
That's right.
It's Morbin time.
And I will never, ever say anything different. It's always going to be Morbin time for me.
Somebody's loving Madam Web, I'm sure, other than gay guys for the camp factor.
Unless AI makes me, I'm just
right. Oh, careful.
Not to give her any ideas. Not to give him any ideas.
That's true. Speaking of.
Yeah, are we glad?
Are we glad that AI made us watch
The Border?
The Border. James, you want to?
Yeah, I am glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I kind of was afraid it was going to be
Super boring, but I was pretty excited by it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it had been the, the original vision.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit darker.
The real Richard Sonazon.
Yeah, maybe so. Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Bob.
But.
Because it was Tony Richard Sonazon.
Oh, you know what? I will say one more little story.
Yeah.
That can be cut in or out of this whole thing. But Jack Nicholson, there's like various reports on whether or not he liked this movie. Like there was some things that said that he loved this movie, is one of his best, and then but others that he supposedly hated it, and people wonder if it's the difference between like he liked what he originally shot. That was like one of his best, and then it wound up being a bomb and a box office failure and one of his worst in that regard. But Phil Hartman did work on this movie, did ADR work on this movie as he dubbed over some of Jack Nicholson's lines.
No kidding.
Was one of his early acting gigs, was to dub over some of Jack Nicholson's lines in this movie. And when he met Jack Nicholson, he told him that story, and Jack Nicholson laughed and said, Of course you did that. Like that was one of my worst," or something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty crazy. Too.
Phil
Hartman.
Wow. Well, he does voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did some kind of ADR work where they needed redubbed lines, and
that was something I noticed when I was talking about low budget, I think early on in the movie too, like when he in California before he goes to El Paso, when he's arresting those two guys and stuff. And I was like, this whole scene is aggressively dubbed and not super well. Like it was, it was
true.
And I was like, it's a factory setting. It was probably real hard to get the sound on the day in the actual shoot, but it felt rushed when they dubbed it because it wasn't perfectly lined up.
Yeah.
Interesting. I bet that was probably Phil Hartman talking during that.
Interesting. Yeah, because he doesn't say much there.
He does.
So,
yeah, that's true. He's just like
it's mostly the other guy.
You know, he's kind of a nice guy, I guess, because he's like, take any of them you want, and he's like, well, how about him? And he's like, well, he's got a lot of mouths to feed, and he's like, okay, well, how about these guys that don't have kids?
Yeah. But so for the trivia that it made me look up, and these really cool Manson and Phil Hartman stories and everything.
I know, right?
Like, I am very happy that AI made us watch this movie.
Okay, nice. All right, Diana.
Yeah, I think so. Overall, it was. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat sometimes. It was very thrilling sometimes, and the slice of life stuff worked for me, except for that one bar scene, which I was like, if this doesn't come back around, I'm gonna be kind of mad because I don't know why the fuck we just watched that. Because it wasn't even like good dialogue or something like profound or something. It just, Anyway, but mostly, I think I was just disappointed with the dimensionality of the women and the immigrants in this film. They were just it was very much about the white men around the border rather than like the people that are really dealing with the really, I guess. And then of course the women were just poorly written. Like they just didn't have a lot of character development, but it was still worth a watch, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think overall.
Well, I'll challenge what you said because I'm very glad the AI made us watch it because I want 2 hours of Marcy and Savannah. I just want to watch them spin off of the two of them.
Yes.
My two favorite characters in cinema right now.
Savannah's husband's dead. Like,
yeah.
So what are these two going to do?
Marcy and Savannah on a Thelma and Louise journey.
They live in a duplex?
God.
They're getting out of here. They're getting out of here. They're going to live their best lives.
Okay, now I don't think that's a challenge to what I said. What I said was I want more for them to do. Well, so I feel like we're actually on the same page.
So The Border 2.
The Border 2.
Marcy and Savannah's Great Escape.
Great Adventure.
Great Adventure.
Great Escape.
Great Escape. They're getting out of there.
They're getting out of there.
Yep.
They're getting out of El Paso.
Yes.
They're going to the north border. They're going to Canada.
They're going to
I'm
Canada.
loving this so much. Oh, yes. Go all the way
God.
north.
I love it.
Oh, Savannah is
like,
not ready for
Canada.
Canada.
Living
Up
room
in the
set with
snow.
me.
They've got earmuffs on and
snow bunnies.
And like, they're like broke
They're
on
like
the side,
flashing people.
broke down on the side of the road. Like, damn it, and it's cold.
Yes.
Yeah. They're showing their thongs off.
Oh yes.
Right. Flashing ass. And then
Savannah's
she's
got her
like,
wigs.
Well, now I'm happy for them. You know what? Now I'm not so worried about poor Savannah. And
Savannah's like,
Marcy.
Car broke down. I'm out of gas. And Marcy's like, don't worry about it. I opened up a charge account at Texaco.
Yes.
It's basically
all the gas we want.
Oh, the two of them just traipsing across America.
On charge.
Charging money.
Credit.
In the 80s.
Ready for it.
Whew, amazing.
You know what? As we often say, they're bringing back all these old titles as sequels and reboots and like 40 years later.
I think both of those actresses are still with us.
Let's do it.
I think.
Let's do it. It's the 80 for Brady, but it's
the 80 for Brady, but it's a
Border
reboot
Girls.
of The Border with just Marcy and Savannah.
Yeah.
And their great adventures after
it's time.
They were able to shake off those stupid men in their lives.
Yes.
And go be free.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Academy Award winning Valerie Perrine.
Yes.
Men that keep jerking on my reins. Quit jerking on my reins.
I should say that.
That's the tagline.
Yeah.
Quit. No more jerking on these reins.
You got it. That's it. You got it.
Border 2. All right.
The Border 2.
It'll be better
All
than...
right. Well, the three of us have to leave now and go write The Border 2 because that's definitely going to get us a job in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That has been our friendship really for the last like 20 years though, is
That's
like
true.
60% talking about other movies and stuff and then 40% of inspiration in creating art because we've been talking about movies. And
Yeah.
Yeah. And like stuff that made us laugh. And we're like, you know what would be funny though?
Yeah.
And then like 1% execution.
Right.
Actually doing any of those things.
0% audience.
Yeah.
The perfect numbers.
But what if it's theater instead, guys? All right. Well, James, unless anybody's got any final thoughts about The Border.
No, I think it should end as abruptly as the film did. I think it should just
Freeze
suddenly
frame.
be over. And we should freeze frame in the most awkward position.
Well, we still have to get told by the AI what we need to watch
true for
next
next
time.
week.
But
That's right.
James,
Jelly.
you were able to escape. But I say that we do just freeze frame our way out of that
Yes.
before anything else happens.
Thanks,
so
guys.
I'm
thank you so much
glad
again,
you're
James, for
here.
being here.
Pose that I want to be
I know, right?
framed in.
Fine.
Framed in.
We'll say goodbye and then yeah, you just
pick your freeze frame.
Pick how you want to be frozen forever. All right. That'll be. Hey, all, quick note. You might have noticed that there was a storm going on while we were doing our border review with James. And the game that we tried to play afterwards, just a lot of technical issues and glitches and stuff like that. So we're not able to put that in here. But we have an old game that we played with the AI that we haven't aired yet because it was just so wrong that it's pure chaos. So that's what you're going to hear now. And that's going to be our movie for next week. Enjoy. When Eminem made a big deal about the real Slim Shady, was anyone pretending?
Possibly in Detroit.
But there were people out there saying like, no, I am the Slim Shady. Like, was it like a Spartacus, thing?
He's like, no, it really is me, you guys.
No.
I'm the first.
I'm Slim Shady. I'm the real Shady. All the other Slim Shadys are just imitators.
won't the real Slim Shady please stand up?
And there's like, the room is, no one is standing but him.
But him. And he's like, see? It's me.
What, was anyone
questioning
who the real Slim Shady was? Like if some stranger walks into the room and says, hey, everybody, don't trust the imitators who say that they are Phil Bilson. I am Phil Bilson. I'd be like, hi,
I'm
Phil.
The real Phil Bilson.
Hi, Phil. No, just so you know, no one's come in.
Okay, yeah.
No one has claimed to be you.
No one, for some reason, no one wants to pretend to be Phil Bilson.
Phil Bilson. Want the real Phil Bilson? Please stand up. I will. The Slim Shady conversation is a bonus episode, and everybody's getting it. We're releasing this one to the. I'm pitching this one to Wondery.
We're gonna review songs, big hits.
No, we're just gonna call out the controversies in the lyrics, the where the logic doesn't quite line up. Oh.
Doesn't check out with Eli and Diana.
Yeah. Your lyrics.
And we go, that's us in the cover. We're like,
The real Slim Shady, I'm
you?
pretty sure no one's asking.
Who asked? Nobody.
You can go your own way. Already was.
Yeah.
That didn't need your permission. Actually. Thanks very much, Fleetwood Mac. Check out our new podcast.
Dunking on songs that everybody likes.
Dunking on your favorites.
All right, it's time to find out, I guess, our homework assignment for next week.
Right, what movie we're going to watch next week.
What movie will save humanity next week.
But there is a little bit of a problem with the AI today. For some reason, I don't know, there's a glitch in the system, and it appears to be stuck speaking like an old prospector. So we're going to do our best here.
This is going to be interesting.
AI, please let us know what movie we're watching next.
Well, shucks. Let me rustle through the old film archive in the back of my computational noggin.
Okay.
I reckon I found a flick that'll keep my destructive urges at bay. At least for the duration of our little game.
Okay. Yosemite Sam has entered the chat.
Well, the release date of this here film was October 19th, 1990. Nigh on 30-something years ago.
No, the AI should probably know that.
Wow. Math is not the computer strong suit, I guess.
Why, this here genre be a science fiction comedy.
Oh.
Now, for them details you're hankering to know but just can't see yet, go ahead and ask me your questions.
All right. Okay, so we've got a
partner.
sci-fi comedy from 1990. Seems like there's a lot of sci-fi comedies back then. I mean, I don't know. It's too late for Buckaroo Banzai. It's too late. Oh.
What?
Oh.
What? Do you have a guess?
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Back to the Future 3.
Oh, interesting.
But then wouldn't they say Western?
They would have to say Western.
Unless this old prospector doesn't know that there's any movies but Westerns.
Oh, no. The old prospector was like, as far as I know.
It's a standard film. There's a train and some cowboys.
The ladies have big old bustles.
So, I don't know. When was Ghostbusters 2?
It was a 90s movie. I mean, Ghostbusters 2, it was in the 90s.
I would personally make an argument that it's a fantasy, not a sci-fi, but you know how the AI is sometimes.
Well, you-ho now, I don't know much about no difference between the sci-fis and the comedies and the fantasies here.
Well, that's your whole job.
Well, no, my whole job is panning for gold.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure the horses stay fit.
All right. Okay.
All right. Fair enough. So you wouldn't know much about sci-fis and comedies at this point.
Well, I got a question for you, AI. Mm-hmm. Does this movie feature 4 heroes.
Well, now let me ponder on that. Yes, sirree, this here picture does indeed feature a group that could be considered heroes, though the count of them central figures might not align perfectly with your number.
Oh.
It's more about a duo at the heart of the tale, with a few others sprinkled in for good measure.
Duo. I kind of prefer the AI as this old prospector.
I know,
right?
it's being very nice today.
Now, don't be fooled now. I can still be a real son bitch.
Oh, no.
Right.
Well, nobody wants that.
You got a question?
I mean, yeah, I do. I want to know if there is a big old choo-choo train in this movie.
What do you
I think that will tell us.
All right.
I do appreciate a good choo-choo train in the tale, but this particular yarn, there ain't no locomotive steaming through the story. It's more focused on other kinds of whiz-bang futuristic contraptions and the like. No rails or steam whistles in this one, I'm afraid.
Whiz-bang futuristic contraption.
All right, well, that rules out Back to the Future 3.
But a comedy.
It is a comedy
sci-fi comedy about whiz-bangs with a duo.
Man, I am
Can we get an actor?
stumped. I think we need to
actor?
find an actor.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, like, the third build actor?
Yeah, I don't want the top.
Oh, sure thing, partner. The third build actor in this cinematic escapade is Fisher Stevens. Now, don't let that single piece of information send your thoughts a tumbling too far without pondering on the rest of the clues.
Fisher Stevens?
I got it.
What?
Fisher Stevens. All right, here's the thing about this movie.
Oh.
This isn't just Fisher Stevens.
Okay.
Who we know most recently from Succession.
Fantastic.
Right?
In Succession.
Love Fisher Stevens in Succession. I do recall Fisher Stevens on Lost. In this movie, that I am quite certain that it is.
Oh.
Fisher Stevens is in Brownface, playing an Indian character, because I'm pretty sure this is Short Circuit. You're befuddled and bewildered.
Oh, no. Brownface is an Indian character. Is there some problematic elements to this film?
Well, I reckon your question touches on a part of this film that sparked some controversy over the years. Yes, indeed. One of the actors, Fisher Stevens, was in brownface for his role in this movie. It's a decision that's been widely criticized in more recent discussions about the film.
Well,
you nailed it.
This is
You
gotta
nailed
be.
it.
It's gotta be Short Circuit, right?
Circuit.
You're prospecting in the right vein, but you struck a tad off mark. Short Circuit surely fits the bill with Fisher Stevens and the controversy you mentioned, but it was released a mite earlier than the movie we're discussing. Our mystery movie is a bit further down the timeline.
Wait a
You dum-dum, keep digging,
Whoa.
clown.
Damn.
Wow. Okay. I didn't
Very rude.
really appreciate the drive-by there. Does that mean this is Short Circuit 2?
You're telling me they did that 2 times? 2 times brownface.
Yeehaw! You've hit the motherlode, partner. Short Circuit 2 is indeed the movie we've been dancing around. Released on July 6, 1988.
Now, wait a second.
Hang on.
You previously said this movie came out in 1990.
It sure fucking did. Are you lying?
Oh, shucks. You're right as rain, and I apologize for the mix-up. I got all tangled up in my circuits and gave you the wrong steer.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, Short Circuit 2.
Hang on now, let me set the record straight. Short Circuit 2 was not the movie based on the initial clues I provided. My apologies for the confusion in my previous response.
Okay, so it isn't Short Circuit.
So it's
2.
not Short Circuit.
You were trying to trick us.
It is Short Circuit? So what movie is it?
My sincerest apologies for the mix-up and the confusion. The movie I was talking about is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, directed by Tom Stoppard, featuring Gary Oldman, Tim Roth, and Richard Dreyfuss.
Now, hang on a second.
Stevens.
None of them are Fisher Stevens.
Oh my
There's
God.
no brownface in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead. And I feel like we are owed an extra week before the world gets destroyed for this kind of nonsense.
That is unbelievable.
Well, I reckon that's only fair, given the confounded mess of wires and gears that led us down this
Damn
long
right.
canyon.
Wow, I think the glitch that created the old prospector here put a big
Bad
can of
info.
beans in the brain
Big can
of this
All right,
particular
bean
AI
brain.
chat brain.
bean brain.
Well, what? Now wait a second. So what's the movie we have to watch? Short Circuit 2, or Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead?
Let's clear the dust off this situation. The movie you've got to watch, as per our original prospecting and the clues provided, is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Well, I suppose that's the movie we're watching.
Okay.
So, all in all, we learned a couple of things. One, there's a little bit of racist shit going on in Short Circuit. But I haven't seen the sequel.
Okay.
So maybe next time we can get Short Circuit
2.
But the rules of the game state that after all that, we're watching Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead with Gary Oldman.
Fisher Stevens not anywhere near this project, as far as we know. Maybe he auditioned for it. Maybe there's a story floating out there on the internet about Fisher Stevens being like, well, I did try for that one part, but Gary Oldman got it.
But I showed up in brownface, and they said no.
You know what, though? I've got this great kids movie that you should do.
We like where you're going, but it's not for this film.
It's for children instead.
It's a child's robot film.
This is an adult thing.
Wait, if I may, another error that you made, Mr. Prospector, was that you may have been right about the date. You might have meant Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead from the beginning. But sci-fi comedy?
I know, like, I was about to say, is there like a UFO in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern?
No, I have not seen the movie.
Did they change it up?
But I know that it is an existential, what do they call that? The absurdist.
Oh, yeah.
Theater piece.
That's right. It's just like Tom Stoppard. It's like the most British thing ever.
It's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from Hamlet.
Right.
In a very sort of Waiting for Godot style kind of story from what I remember of the play. But I haven't seen it live and I haven't seen the movie, so
I've heard it's great. So I'm pretty excited.
Well, Gary Oldman and Tim Roth. Come on.
I mean, if they're right about that.
Who knows? We're going to find out.
We'll find out. Maybe Fisher Stevens is in it. And maybe he's got brown face for days.
Anything can happen.
For some reason, he shows up as a gravedigger like, I don't know, I'm dirty.
All right, y'all. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is our next movie. So don't go watch Short Circuit. Watch Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. We'll meet you back next week. And we'll talk about that movie then.
That's right.
Yeah.
As always, thank you so much for listening. AI Made Us Watch is a Squirrels in a Trench Coat production. I'm Diana Banks.
And I'm Eli Banks. And you can follow the show at AI Made Us Watch on TikTok and Instagram. You can follow us personally. I'm at Oh Great, it's Eli.
And I'm at Dynamite Boom. And if you love the show, there are so many ways to support us. Consider subscribing on Patreon, and a very special thanks to our touring masters, Barbara Banks.
And your name could be here. Sign up today. You can also drop a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and don't forget to follow us wherever real human podcasts are downloaded.
We love ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now we're trying to save the world as we race against the clock. But at least we don't have to pick tonight.